Okay, welcome friends. In this video we're going to learn how to summarize blocks of records with group by. So we'll make up our own table and you'll see exactly why this is useful, why it extends our ability to code. Alright, let's take a look. So right click on tables in Object Explorer and add a new table first. So first we add a new table and the first column name will be the ID, data type integer, allow nulls, no. And then down below expand that panel and find the thing that says identity specification. By default, it's no. So you should be able to change that, but you see, you can't change it just yet. So make the ID the primary key, right click, and then set the primary key on it. And let's change the identity here. So it says yes. And take a look. Identity increment is 1, and then identity seed is 1. So the seed means that you don't have to type the value in that column anymore. It's seeded. The initial value is 1, and then as you add records, that value automatically grows by 1. That is the meaning of the identity increment. I remember when you set the primary key, what the effect of that is, right? That adds an index to the folder named indexes. Okay. All right, next stage here. So I'm going to type as the next stage here department name. And I'm going to this time use a different data type, nvarchar 50. And again, no nulls. So the nvarchar is present because this data type can accommodate a wider range of characters than, for example, just varchar. What I mean by characters, keep in mind that, for example, in France, people might have some letters with some little marks on it. In Germany, right? Or in Georgia and the Caucasus, people use a completely different symbol set. Arabic uses a completely different symbol set, you see? All right. Over here, I'm going to type the next bit. So this time I'm going to type salesperson. And again, that could be a variety of characters. So I'm going to type nvarchar 50. That's good enough for our purposes. Again, that could potentially be wider when you think about it, right? Because names could be pretty long. But not so long, I think. And then lastly here we have the last bit, which will be sales amount. And notice that it automatically has the brackets, right? Because those fields have spaces between department and name, for example. All right, and then here I'm going to type money and then do not allow nulls, and that's it. So this is the structure of our table. Let's save this. Make sure you save it. You can leave it named table_2. All right, I hope you've got that. Now refresh the table view in the Object Explorer. Right click and refresh. And make sure you've got table 2 available there, okay? Like that. And now let's add some information to this table. So right click and then go over to edit top 200 rows. And this time I'm going to type as follows here. The first one will be, say, sedan sales. And I'm going to enlarge these. Everything will fit nicely and I don't have to do it later. All right, so the first thing here I'm going to put sedan sales. Right, the next here I'm going to put the person, maybe John. Maybe he sold 250,000 worth of vehicles. And notice the 1 is added automatically. Nice. All right, next, same department, sedan sales. And then another person, Mary, and say 265,000. And again, as soon as I start looking at this, I must realize something, that I observed that these two records have the fact that they're both within the sedan sales department. That's useful already because that means we can group by that quantity. That's why I'm going to show you how to make the table from scratch. All right, next. Let's do one more here, sedan sales, for example. And then let's say one more person, say Steve, and say he sells 249,000. And now for the sake of grouping, I'm going to add the following, a different department, say truck sales. Okay. And again, some completely different person, maybe say Bob S or something like that. And then I'm going to say here 450,000. Very good at selling. And let's do one more here. So truck sales, like that. And I'm going to say, for example, Erwin Jose, maybe he sells $360,000 worth of vehicles, and so on. So when I look at this data, something stands out, right? I have repeating departments. See that? That's one block of records. That's useful. I must notice that. That's another block of records in the sense that this is truck sales and the one above is sedan sales. That's it. We can group. All right, save this. Make sure it's saved and then close it. Close that. Perfect. And now we can write our little query. Take a look. The query will take this form here. I'm going to say, use my DBase, go, and I'm going to say, select department name. And notice when you first start typing, it doesn't show, right? Because you want to really go with the from. So I'm going to deepen our understanding here a little bit. But if you just type select, and then you start typing the field name, it doesn't show because it doesn't know where it should be found. So when I said earlier that from kind of runs first, if you put from, and then you identify your table, _2, and again, notice it may not show just yet. So in that case, run that. And if it still doesn't get recognized, let's take a look. You may want to do Control-Shift-R as a key combo to refresh IntelliSense. And now it's recognized. Good. And this time I'm going to say department name, and now it is found. You see? So this really is important, right? The from really is first. All right, good. I'm going to just alias this, for example, as, and then alias it any way you like. So I'll just say like that, put a comma. And let's repeat this a few more times for some of the other quantities. All right, so you've got a department name, alias, and then let's do this also as, again, salesperson, right, as salesperson, for example, comma. All right, let's do it one more time for the sales amount. So sales amount as sales amount. That's it. So let's run this first bit. All we are doing is just selecting the columns. All right, hit execute, and there it is. And again, clearly, right, these have something in common, right? They belong to the same set of data, sedan sales and then truck sales. So now we summarize. Take a look at what I mean. Over here, I'm going to type following. Group by, and then I'm going to type department name. And let's see whether this will give us something useful. So execute it, and it doesn't work. So we need to fix this up a little bit. Go back to the original for a second without the group by. Notice the sales amounts. We should be able to group them in some way. That specifically means you should be able to, for example, to add them up. You see? So I'm going to do this. I'm going to remove all of this. And if you were to do this on your calculator, right, you look at the sedan sales block of information, that's important, and then you would add up the sales amount, right? And you would say, this is how much the sedan sales sold. You would repeat that for the truck sales. You would add up the amounts and say, this is how much was sold in that department. That is exactly what we were doing, nothing different. So I'm going to introduce a function that says sum, and I specify the field I want to sum up. So in our case, that will be sales amount. Sales and then amount. Let's do that next. Just like that. All right, and notice that I have the sales amount within the brackets, and then I have parentheses to define the body of the function and the function. So sum is a function, you stick input into it, it operates on it, it produces output. And we know that we should use it here precisely because I'm grouping by department name. All right, let's run this. So hit execute. And it tells useful information immediately that the sedan sales total is 764, and for truck sales it's 810. I've summarized my information by department. So this is logically equivalent to essentially this, right? If you go, imagine a business, you go into one department in the business, you ask everybody there how much that person sold, and you add that up. Then you go into a different department, you ask everybody there how much did you sell, you add that up, and so on and so on. That's what we are doing, nothing different. And if you wanted to, we could subset this information using where, and you can also order the information. Let's take a look. I'm going to type order by, for example. And again, I'm going to type here, I'm going to alias the sum. So I'm going to type as total sales. And down below in the order by, I can use total sales. Total sales. And I can use it because remember, order by runs last. All right, so let's give this a run here. Execute. There you go. And let's do it in descending order. So DSC. Run it. And now it's working nicely. It's working as expected. So if we were to state this in simple English, remember what I'm saying here is the following. Summarize sales by department. That's it. Usually that means find a total for each department. That's all. So we can compare, for example, to see how well the business is doing. And then at the next stage here, let's write down the sequence of operations for the clauses. So remember, it's going to be from first, from, grab the table, group by next. So then you group the records by some quantity, for example, like the department name or the order ID or the invoice ID, whatever it happens to be, whatever repeats in your data. And then select, and then lastly, order by. And that's the sequence of operations. Okay. And that is it.